Weatherbell Analytics meteorologist Joe Bastori. Saturday summary. There's football on in the house. We have people in the house. So there's my wife Jessica Collins over here. Can you guys say hi? Just say hi.
Hi.
Hi. I know. I don't have the camera on. You want the camera on?
No.
All right. So this is a jovial Saturday summary. There's background noise. So what I've had is
That's the problem.
let's see, I had 4 hours of aggravation golfing this morning, where my nickname is the heat wave because there's always a threat of a record high. And now I'm having 4 hours of aggravation watching the Texas Aggies play. But I'm used to that. I've been doing that for 60 years. Okay, upcoming 5 days, the European, the means show this trough in Western Canada, a lot of cold air, ridge in the east, and of course that ridge over troubled waters. Jerry first, there's going to be another development. Coming northwestward toward Puerto Rico, and then I think turning west toward the Bahamas. And we may even see something try to develop down the western Gulf of Mexico mid and late week next week. Although if you watch this on Sunday, it'll be mid and late week this week. All right, so here we are in the 6 to 10, and the question is, will this trough get what I think is going to be the hurricane that's going to develop and try to come into the Bahamas over here? Similar to what happened with Joaquin. Well, actually, Joaquin got kicked out because the ridge rebuilt behind it. So what we're going to have to watch for here is whether this can come far enough west to escape the influence of this, and plus the ridging that's going to be occurring in around 7 to 10 days in the Caribbean. See, one of the big things, we always look at what's going on to the north of the storm, but what's going on to the south of the storm is very important too. If you have low heights or you have a feature coming in through here, it will hold that system in. If you have a ridge rebuilding southeast of the system, it's like a cork in the stream. It'll try to get the stream flow to go out. So that's going to, I'm sure well, I'm not sure because you can't tell what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone a week, but I'm pretty sure tomorrow when we talk to you on the Saturday summary, there will probably be some kind of tropical cyclone near or in the Bahamas. So we'll see if that works out. All right. Meanwhile, that ridge is locked and loaded over the east well into October. Now, that doesn't mean there can't be a couple cool fronts coming through. But you folks in the southeast, now look, I hate to play, pompous jerk here, but at the beginning of summer, we said the mid and latter part of the summer and into the fall, it's going to get very warm in the southeast, and it wasn't going to rain much. We had one endless summer we've been talking about. I'm a big Beach Boys fan, so I like that Endless Summer album. So I always jump on. And so as long as this Madden-Julian oscillation stays strong in one, you're not breaking that ridge down at all. Now phase 1 is an active pattern in the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean for the tropics. So we got to watch this now. Phase 8 is actually very dry along the East Coast, and that's what we're seeing the models indicating. Along with the phase 1, it's a blend, and you can see how dry it is over the next 10 days. I mean, how dry I am, and you can see the feature trying to come into the Gulf here. All the action going on here. There's Jerry recurving, and here is the influence of the Pacific systems, which then turn northeastward. Okay, so remember how everybody's complaining about how wet it was, and we said just calm down. It's going to dry out. It's not going to be like last year. I think you can agree that that had a bit of merit. Here's your next 10 days of temperatures. Very cold in the western part of the United States. Winter's getting off to an early start in this area. I mean, it's crazy what's happened up here. I don't know if people pay attention, but it was snowing into May in Alberta, and it's going to be snowing early this year in there. So there's going to be a lot of cold air in there, but very, very warm. I put this on the second time. All right, so there's some really cool things going on here. First of all, if you look at the southern hemisphere, cool, warm, it's probably pretty close to a draw as far as what the sea surface temperatures are. And the difference between this warmth here, this cool here, and this cool here is the greatest I can find in the satellite era. And I very definitely think that is having an effect on the weather pattern. And where we see it most strongly is what's going on in the tropics. We do have a tropical storm that's coming up to the west of Japan here and toward Korea, but the interesting thing is is the Western Pacific, which is the #1 place for ACE index, accumulated cyclonic energy, is having what is pretty close to a record low period of tropical cyclone activity since March 1st. Here's the temperatures now. I get, I understand, when, I've been blessed to be out in the public light and all that stuff, and people always hammering their way at me, but this has been supposedly the warmest summer ever recorded in the Northern Hemisphere. I want to explain to you how it got that way. There's quite a bit of warmth there, as you can see, in Siberia, Alaska, up here toward Baffin Island. But Greenland actually wound up near normal. And you can see the cool over the United States, cool over Central Asia. And so the last 90 days or so, 120 days, have averaged about 0.29, 0.3 C above normal. That doesn't mean the Earth is burning up. I'm sorry. You guys want to keep pushing that stuff. It means that the warmth, the total warmth, outdueled the total cool by 0.3 Celsius. That's it. That's what it means. That's what that temperature means. Now when you're talking about that, because it's very difficult, the warmer it gets to make it warmer, it indeed may be near a record, but it's the same way when records, there's a limit to it. It's not like it's just continually just blasting up. All right. So I just want to say that some of the stuff, it's exactly right. You want to say that that's the warmest on record? It looks that way. But look at North America. It wasn't that bad. In fact, it was so cold at the beginning of the summer, it skewed these temperatures over here. But again, the global temperature, let me just say, okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. In the satellite era, it's actually fourth warmest, but they want to say it's the warmest ever. They go back to the 1800s. How in the world were you measuring temperatures in the 1800s compared to the way you measure them today? It doesn't make any sense. So we do have a metric since 1981 with the satellites, okay? So a satellite era, let's say it's third or fourth. That's verified by Roy Spencer, Dr. Roy Spencer over there at the University of Alabama, Huntsville. They have the lower tropospheric temperatures with the satellites, okay? So it's third or fourth or whatever. But all that means is that the warmth outdueled the cool, okay? Which makes sense that it's doing it up there because the increase in water vapor in the air due to the warmth of the oceans, especially with that El Niño 2 years ago, the vicious El Niño, which pumps a lot of water vapor in the air, would make more difference in the north than in the south, and most importantly during the winter season. What's interesting is with the cooling of the southern hemisphere oceans, we see Antarctica, large parts of Antarctica, I mean, we got some warmth there, but cold, as you can see there. So anyway, look, I'm not saying, that they don't have a point or whatever, but, some of you guys got to lighten up. I mean, you're really just getting carried away with this stuff. And people say, well, you're carried away, denying this or denying. No, I'm not. Tell you, listen, no one says it's not warmer than normal. It's just that it's so small, and the way it is that warm is a product. It would be like someone wins a football game by 3 points. That's what it's like, okay? If we do every tenth of the degree, for instance, during the height of El Nino, it was almost a 0.9 C spread. That's significant, but it's backed off since then. And I want to say something else too, because I have been pushing since 2016 the idea that we are in a new higher pause point because of that El Nino. I get into arguments with people on my side of the issue because they're saying, well, there's been no increase in temperatures. No, you're going to find that it's a step-up function. I've shown this several times. In fact, let me see if I have it on here again. I'll show you what this whole theory is that I have. That the super Niños pump so much water vapor in the air that when they do that, it actually leads to these step-up functions. These responsible. I'll show you right here. The water vapor, because the increase in temperatures in the Arctic due to increased water vapor is greater, and it skews the global temperature. So here's where we were before the 97-98 El Nino, right? Oh, everybody can see that, okay? So then, after that, when it all settled out, is about here, the other Super Nino comes, and here we go, right? We're a little bit higher. So I think it's very significant to see that. Now, if you say that's not what's going on, it's like this. Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, if you want to connect that, but if you really study the details, you can see that what I'm talking about does have some merit, something to consider. Okay, I could be wrong. One thing you got to learn in this, I don't care if you're a climatologist or whatever, you could be wrong about tomorrow. That is a possibility. Okay, so here we go, Northeast Pacific, the ACE index, despite, I saw the Washington Post, or no, USA Today. They're forming like roaches. Well, they're also dying like roaches, like they're being sprayed. They're still below normal as far as the ACE index in the Northeast Pacific. The most remarkable thing in the tropics this year, how far below normal the number one typhoon area, development area in the world is the number one tropical ACE index area. Since March, this is hard to believe how little there's been. And Phil Klotzbach knows this stuff, Dr. Phil Klotzbach, so he might be able to comment on it as to how close this is to a record low level. But it's really spectacular what's going on, and I believe it has something to do with the configuration of the sea surface temperatures on the planet. All right, and here's the Atlantic now going above normal, as you can see there. And with this pattern, we've got another month to go of. I seriously doubt that over the next month, if there's more than 2 or 3 days where there's not a tropical cyclone in the Atlantic basin someplace. Okay, so what do we got coming up? Jerry's going to recurve, probably hit Bermuda as a Category 2. I think it's going to re-intensify as it comes toward Bermuda. System that's coming off Africa is going to develop and stay out. There's this configuration here. That's not the word. Conflagration. I don't even know what the word is. What word do I want? These people aren't helping me. This is going to turn west, could develop in the Western Gulf, like we've seen in Imelda and Fernando. But this is really interesting because I think it's going to come up here, try to turn west and intensify. Next week at this time, that may be in the Bahamas and a problem if it doesn't get caught in that trough, or that trough doesn't pick it off to the northeast. And there you can see Jerry has recurved over here. And here's this other one recurving. But you can see these lower pressures, Western Gulf, and right here. And that'll be a question. Can it miss what's going to come over the top, knock the ridge down in here? And when that happens, this is a cork in the stream, could turn back to the northeast. But next week at this time, we may have a tropical storm or hurricane in the Bahamas. And that may be a big news item down the road. All right, that's it for now. Enjoy the weather, only weather you got.